Welcome back to the deep dive. You know, usually when we sit down for one of these, we're sifting through academic papers or maybe some dense tech
Right.
specs.
Trying to find the signal in the noise.
Exactly. But today feels different. I've got this stack of documents in front of me, reports from the Wall Street Journal, financial filings, export logs.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you pitched this as a movie script,
They'd laugh you out of the room.
they'd say it's too on the nose, too perfect of a thriller.
It really does feel that way, though. You have all the classic elements. A massive secret transfer of wealth,
Uh-huh.
the highest levels of global espionage, the race for AI supremacy, and a direct line right into the Oval Office.
It is a lot to take in. And frankly, when I first saw the headlines, I was a little skeptical. It sounds like one of those, internet conspiracies that just falls apart the second you check the dates.
But that's the thing.
But that's the thing about this deep dive. We check the dates. And the timeline it's startlingly specific.
That's the key. The what is interesting, sure. I mean, $500 million is a lot of money.
It's a huge number.
But the when is what makes this a story about how the world actually works. We're looking at a series of events that, well, it fundamentally redefines the boundary between personal profit and national security.
So, okay, let's set the scene for everyone listening. It's Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. We're a little over a year into Donald Trump's second term.
Right.
And this story is looking back at a deal that went down basically right before the inauguration last year. The Wall Street Journal just cracked this whole thing open.
And our mission today, just to be clear, is to connect three very distinct dots. Dot one, a huge cash infusion into the president's family crypto startup.
Okay.
Dot two, a massive, and I mean sudden, shift in U.S. export policy on AI chips.
And dot three.
A presidential pardon for a crypto billionaire.
It sounds like you need one of those conspiracy boards with the red yarn connecting everything.
It does, but you don't need red yarn. You just need a calendar.
All right, let's start with the money then. Take me back to January 16th, 2025.
Okay, so let's set the context. The election is over. The transition is in its final sort of chaotic week. Washington is just buzzing with inauguration prep.
Right.
And on January 16th, we are exactly 4 days, 96 hours away from Donald Trump taking the oath of office.
So the clock is really ticking down. Everyone's watching the Capitol stage being built.
Exactly. And quietly, away from all the cameras, a deal is signed. An entity called Arium Investment One agrees to buy a 49% stake in World Liberty Financial.
Or WLFI, which, just so everyone's on the same page, that's the Trump family's crypto project.
Correct. Now, if you look at the paperwork, Arium Investment One looks like your standard, boring corporate shell company.
Which is the whole point, right? I mean, that's why they use these things. Opacity.
It's all about opacity.
Yeah.
If you buy something under your own name, it makes headlines. If Arium Investment One buys it, nobody blinks. It's designed to be boring. It's designed to hide who's really behind it.
But thanks to this reporting, we now know who is behind Arium.
We do. The power player here is Sheikh Tanoon bin Zayed Al Nahyan.
I was reading up on him. Power player almost feels like an understatement.
It is. You really can't overstate this man's influence. He's the national security advisor of the UAE. He's the brother of the UAE president.
And he controls this massive business empire.
Over $1.3 trillion. But in intelligence circles, he has a very specific nickname.
The spy sheet.
The spy hake or spy chief. He runs the entire intelligence apparatus for the Emirates. So just, frame this in your mind.
Yeah.
4 days before Trump becomes president again, the UAE spy chief buys nearly half of the incoming president's family business.
Let's talk about the numbers, because $500 million is a massive valuation for a startup that, hadn't really launched much at that point.
It's a huge valuation.
Yeah.
The deal was for $500 million total for that 49% equity. But the payment structure is what really caught my eye.
Oh, okay.
They paid $250 million up front, immediate liquidity.
And this is where I want to slow down, because usually when a company gets an investment, like on Shark Tank or whatever, the money goes into the company's bank account.
Right. To hire people, build the product.
Yeah. Pay for marketing, grow the business.
That's called primary capital.
Yeah.
But that is not what happened here.
No. I'm looking at the breakdown of the transfer in these documents. Of that initial $250 million, $187 million wasn't kept by the company at all.
Right.
It was transferred directly to Trump family entities, DT Marks, DeFi LLC, and DT Marks SC LLC.
That is the critical distinction. This wasn't just an investment into the business, it was a cash out for the owners. This was $187 million of liquid cash going directly to the first family's entities, right on the eve of the presidency.
That is, wow. That's a lot of cash to have land in your lap 4 days before you move into the White House. But it wasn't just the Trumps, was it?
No, the documents show another $31 million went to the family of Steve Witkoff.
Okay, we have to pause here. Steve Witkoff. We need to explain who he is, because his role here seems incredibly complicated.
Complicated is the polite word for it. In the crypto world, Witkoff is a co-founder of World Liberty Financial, a business partner.
Right.
But in the real world, the world of nukes and treaties, President Trump appointed Steve Witkoff as his special envoy to the Middle East.
Wait, hold on. So the guy whose job it is to negotiate peace and trade with the Middle East is personally getting $31 million from a top Middle Eastern royal?
At the same time.
Yeah.
He's wearing the diplomat hat and the crypto founder hat simultaneously. He sits across the table from Sheikh Tahnoon to discuss regional security, while also being his business partner in a deal that just made him millions.
That would make the negotiations interesting. Pass the salt, and thanks for the wire transfer?
It certainly muddies the waters. And remember, for over a year, nobody knew this. The WLFI website just, showed the Trump family stake dropping from 75% to 38%.
But they never said who bought it.
No, never said who the buyer was. Completely dark.
So the cash is in the bank, $187 million to the Trumps. The spy sheikh owns 49%. Now, I have to ask the obvious question. Why? Why does the UAE want this? I mean, sure, crypto's hot, but $500 million? Yeah. Is this just a savvy investment, or is there a bigger play on the board here?
If you think this is just about Bitcoin, you're missing the forest for the trees. This isn't about crypto. This is about the most valuable resource on the planet right now.
We're talking about AI.
We are talking about artificial intelligence, or more specifically, the hardware that powers it. You have to understand the friction that existed before this deal.
Okay.
Under the Biden administration, there was basically a blockade.
A blockade on what, specifically?
On NVIDIA's advanced AI chips, the H100s, the really cutting-edge stuff.
Explain the H100 for people who aren't tech junkies. Why are these so important?
Think of the H100 chip as the engine of the entire AI revolution. If you want to build a ChatGPT, a defense system, anything, you need thousands of these chips networked together.
So they're the oil of the 21st century.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And the U.S. controls the supply.
And the UAE couldn't get them.
Not easily. So Sheikh Tahnoon, our buyer, he controls a massive AI company called G42. And the U.S. government was extremely worried about G42.
Why?
Because of its historical ties to Chinese companies, specifically Huawei.
Right. The fear being that if we sell our best chips to the UAE, they might just hand the tech or the data over to China.
Like
a national security risk.
Exactly. U.S. intelligence officials had red-flagged G42. They effectively blocked them from buying the hardware they needed to compete. That was the status quo. G42 was in the penalty box.
Okay, so that's the before picture then. The new administration comes in, the election happens, the secret investment happens in January. Then what?
The relationship just pivots, a complete 180. Sheikh Tahnoon meets with Trump and Steve Witkoff again, the Middle East envoy, multiple times. There was a very high-profile visit to the White House in March 2025, just 2 months after the inauguration.
And what came out of those meetings?
A massive reversal in export policy. 2 months after that White House meeting, the Trump administration approved a deal to send 500,000 cutting-edge AI chips annually to the UAE.
500,000 chips a year? I'm trying to get a sense of the scale of that. Is that a lot?
It's staggering. To give you some idea, we're talking about enough hardware to build one of the world's largest AI data center clusters.
Wow.
The power consumption for this project is estimated to be equivalent to 2 Hoover dams.
2 Hoover dams worth of juice. That is not a small server room.
No. And remember G42, the spy sheikh's company that was on the blacklist?
Yeah.
Well, under this new deal, about 20% of those chips were specifically earmarked for G42. So they went from being blocked to getting a direct pipeline of the world's most advanced tech.
And that happened shortly after the sheikh invested in the president's company.
The timeline is, well, it's hard to ignore. Money goes in, policy changes, chips come out.
It certainly looks that way.
Yeah.
But the web gets even stickier, you said.
It does. We've talked about cash and chips, but we haven't talked about the pardon yet.
Right. The third leg of this stool. How does a presidential pardon fit into an AI chip deal? It feels like we're jumping genres here.
It connects through the mechanics of the crypto deal itself. Which brings us to, let's say, segment 3 of our conspiracy board. Binance.
The huge crypto exchange.
Right. So we have the first deal in January, the chip deal in May, But also in May 2025, there's this side deal. Sheikh Tahnoon has another investment firm called MGX.
Okay, MGX.
MGX decided to invest $2 billion into Binance. But they didn't just wire cash. They did something very specific. They used a stablecoin called USD1.
And let me guess, who issues USD1?
World Liberty Financial, the president's company.
Of course. Okay, pause here, because this is where I think a lot of people get lost in the weeds of crypto. Why does it matter what currency they used? I mean, $2 billion is $2 billion, right?
It matters because of how stablecoin issuers make their money. Think of WLFI like a bank for a second.
Okay.
If you give them $2 billion in real cash, they give you $2 billion in digital tokens to play with. But they are still holding your real cash.
So WLFI is sitting on $2 billion of hard currency.
Exactly. And they don't just put that in a mattress. They buy U.S. Treasury bills. Safe, government-backed bonds that pay interest. Right now, let's say that interest rate is around 4%.
So let me do the math. 2 billion times 4%. That's $80 million.
Roughly $80 million a year. Risk-free, pure profit.
So by using the Trump family's stablecoin, the sheikh basically handed WLFI a guaranteed $80 million annual revenue stream just for existing.
You got it. The float creates the profit. So this Binance deal wasn't just good for Binance. It was a massive windfall for the owners of World Liberty Financial.
Which includes the Trumps and the sheikh.
Correct. But here's the twist. The founder of Binance, Changpeng Zhao, or CZ, where was he at this time?
I believe he was in prison, right?
He was, serving time for anti-money laundering violations. But he lives in Abu Dhabi, and
Yeah.
he has very close ties to the UAE royal family.
I think I see where this is going.
So in May, the UAE uses the Trump coin to invest in CZ's company, which enriches the Trump family business. Then fast forward to November 2025. President Trump issues a pardon for Changpeng Zhao.
So let me just recap this timeline because it is wild. January, sheikh invests in Trump's company. May, Trump admin approves chips for the sheikh's company. Also May, sheikh invests in Binance using Trump's coin. November, Trump pardons Binance's founder.
It's a sequence of events that creates a very, very specific picture. You pull a lever here, money flows there, a policy changes here.
It raises a massive question about ethics. I mean,
Yeah.
Is this even legal? Can a foreign government official own half the president's business while negotiating sensitive national security deals?
This is the legal fallout zone. We have to talk about the emoluments clause of the Constitution.
A phrase we heard a lot in the first term.
But it's even more relevant here. The clause is designed specifically to prevent U.S. officials from being, bought off by foreign powers. It prohibits accepting gifts or money from any foreign state without Congress saying it's okay.
Legal experts must be losing their minds.
They are. Kathleen Clark, a prominent ethics lawyer, called this a five-alarm warning. The argument is that this blurs the line between private profit and public policy to a degree we've just never seen.
It's not just someone booking a hotel room.
No, this is a direct equity stake in the president's personal wealth.
But let's be fair. We have to look at the defense. What are the president and his team saying about this? They must have a counterargument.
Well, President Trump was asked about this in a press gaggle just yesterday. His stance was pretty dismissive. He said he didn't know about the deal and that his sons handle the business.
I didn't know. A classic defense. But can you really not know about a $500 million check?
That's the question the press is asking. The official White House statement is that the president's assets are in a trust managed by his children, so technically they argue there's no conflict of interest.
And what about World Liberty Financial?
Their spokesperson came out swinging. They called the criticism absurd and un-American. Their argument is, why should a private company be held to different standards just because of who owns it? They claim neither the president nor Steve Witkoff are involved in day-to-day operations.
But that argument just feels so weak when you look at Steve Witkoff. He is the U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East.
Right.
How do you separate the man negotiating peace deals in the morning from the man whose family is getting millions from those same people in the afternoon? It feels impossible.
That is the crux of the problem. It's the dual role. You have Witkoff dealing with the exact same foreign counterpart, Sheikh Tahnoon, in two completely different capacities. It's impossible to know which hat he's wearing.
Is he there for the American people or for the shareholders?
Exactly.
So let's look at where we are now, February 2026. The crypto market is, what, booming?
It is. Bitcoin's trading around $88,000. This administration has fully embraced digital assets.
And the president isn't hiding his association with WLFI. I saw his title.
Not at all. His official title at the company is Chief Crypto Advocate.
Chief Crypto Advocate. That doesn't exactly scream blind trust.
And his 19-year-old son, Barron, is listed as the DeFi visionary.
DeFi visionary. Okay. But beyond the titles, let's look at the governance. Because of that 39% stake, the Sheik's investment vehicle now has 2 seats on the 5-person board of WLFI.
Hey, hold on. 2 seats on a 5-person board.
Yes.
That's huge. That means foreign nationals linked to UAE intelligence have direct voting power and oversight of the president's family business.
They're not just silent investors collecting a check, they are in the boardroom.
Exactly. That's the reality of the corporate structure. They have a say.
And it seems like this whole integration of crypto and administration policy is just deepening. What's this about a new token for Truth Social?
Yes. Just this month, they launched the DJT shareholder token. It's a rewards token for shareholders of the media group. It just reinforces that this administration views digital assets as, well, a core part of their strategy.
So when we wrap this all up, what does this all mean? We've covered a lot of ground. Shell companies, spy chiefs, H-100 chips, pardons.
If we zoom out, we're seeing a fundamental shift. We've seen business-minded presidents before, but this is different. This is a direct financial pipeline from a foreign intelligence chief to the first family, running parallel to major shifts in U.S. national security policy.
It connects the 3 biggest themes of this decade, really. The rise of crypto, the dominance of AI, and the changing nature of geopolitics.
Exactly. The so what here is that the lines between personal profit and foreign policy aren't just blurred. In this case, they seem to have been erased. You have a foreign power that identified a way to invest in the administration's favor, literally, and then they received a massive strategic win with the AI chips.
It makes you look at international diplomacy differently. When a handshake happens on the White House lawn, you have to wonder what transactions are happening on the blockchain.
That's the new reality. Diplomacy isn't just about treaties anymore. It's about liquidity.
I want to leave our listeners with one final thought to mull over. We know about the 49% stake. We know about the money. But think about the leverage. If a foreign government owns 49% of a company that generates wealth for the first family, does that government effectively own 49% of the influence over the administration's tech policy?
It's a question every voter and every investor really needs to ask themselves, because the answer affects everything from the price of Bitcoin to the security of our data.
On that note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive. As always, the sources are there if you want to dig deeper yourself, and with this one, I highly recommend you do. Thanks for listening and stay curious.
Goodbye, everyone.